Do any of you guys work at orgs where the corporate jargon and office speak are on another level? My last gig wasn't so bad. You'd get the occasional tiger team or win-win-wins. Maybe throw in a bleeding edge here or there. Where I'm currently at though, it's pervasive and ingrained in the culture. I cringe almost constantly. I'm not kidding when I say I've heard "open the kimono" a dozen times within the past 60 days. Even low-hanging fruit, which I was convinced was pretty much dead these days and that I, for some reason, equate to an old man's scrotum. When is this shit going to go away? On some level we all must realize how ridiculous we sound. Edit. Thanks for all the laughs, team. Have a great July 4th weekend, Rockstars LFG. My company has abbreviations upon abbreviations used. Sometimes a abbreviation is made up of other abbreviations. Sometimes the meanings of the abbreviations is lost to time. What ends happening is a abomination of sentences filled with indecipherable jargons and words that only people who stayed for the company for years will understand. Sounds like you need a touch-base meeting with your team about this. Make sure to invite everyone you can possibly think of. I work at Amazon where every other sentence is customer obsession, bias for action, or frugality. I can't stand it. Low-hanging fruit, I'm pretty sure, is just a common English figure of speech. I've heard that way more outside of the office versus inside. We have a lot of acronyms but nobody really uses them. Because you never know if the person you're talking to knows what they mean. I just write messages as clearly and concisely as possible, and so does everyone else. Every place I've worked at in my 15 years has had people say things like "we need to have a meeting to touch base," and how tasks are low-hanging fruit. It does not bother me as much as it seems to bother you. I know what they mean when they say these things, so I put it in the whatever not worth my time expending mental energy caring category. I've never heard "open the kimono" though. What is that supposed to mean? WTF is "open the kimono"? Sounds dirty. This is hilarious. I would absolutely lean into it in a semi-ironic way. I think they're kind of like dad jokes. You might start off doing them for whatever personal reasons to impress someone, or even somewhat ironically, but they eventually become part of the lexicon and absorb themselves into your being, until you are nothing but a collection of instinctual corporate jargon. Open the kimono is weird. For some reason, slow down to speed up infected my current job recently as a way to say we did a lot of work that wasn't associated directly with a deliverable. My place has a spreadsheet filled with rows of acronyms and their meanings. How else do you say low-hanging fruit? I'll do you one better. My manager doesn't know what an API is, but fucking loves talking about them. Even when whatever we're talking about will have no API involved whatsoever. It's to the point now where, whenever I see the acronym API, I cringe because he's gonna wanna bring that in some way to the company. My last company at a DoD contractor was like that. Everything was an acronym and no one could be bothered to say what the acronyms were before using them. Between software engineering terminology, corporate speak, and military speak, we may as well have been speaking in code. Open the kimono sounds like an Asian fetish sex thing. We got acquired by a huge company, and you would think that some people just get paid to say as many buzzwords as they can at any given chance. My office. Employee team member. Manager leader. HR team member services. Intern summer team member. Problem opportunity. Meeting huddle. List goes on. Open the kimono. Ouch. Do they know it's not 1995 at your work anymore? Honestly, I'm pretty allergic to corporate speak. Even the phrase reach out makes me cringe a bit. At my past job, I got the word resource, referring to people banned in all engineering meetings. Yes, and it's annoying as fuck. Everyone has to aspire to be rock stars. Okay, I'll be a rock star. I'll just show up consistently shit-faced and high. Yes. It's so irritating. I refuse to use the corporate speak. But I also saw a complete idiot who only uses corporate speak get a completely undeserved promotion. It really makes people think you know what you're talking about, meanwhile you're saying absolutely nothing. I mean, this guy can't even give me a simple yes or no when I ask him a question. I absolutely can't stand him and just think of him and people like him as kiss asses. I mean, he did get an undeserved promotion, so maybe I am the fool. But I just don't have it in me to be that fake. Working at a FAANG has been an intro to corporate speak. It's been interesting. I find myself using low-hanging fruit, touch base, circle back, and other corporate speak all the time. I hate it so much, but it's just the language you have to speak when you're a middle manager because it's what senior and exec managers understand. I think it's their version of technical jargon, haha. We have a massive spreadsheet at work for acronyms. It was initially created as satire-like look. How absurd this place is, then it kept legitimately growing, and it wholeheartedly is recommended to new people coming in. No longer a joke. Personally, I think the evolution amplified the joke. I just pivoted into tech, and I have heard drinking from the fire hose and how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time more times than I can count in the last couple of months. The rest is industry jargon and acronyms that I am still trying to figure out. Sometimes I feel like people are speaking Chinese at some of these meetings. If I get called rockstar one more time for simply doing my job, I am going to lose it. We lifted up the skirt, didn't like what we saw, so we put it back down. I think my favorite is when people use the word transparent to mean opposite things. We want this to be transparent to the customer in one meaning is that the details of how something is handled are known. The system is see-through so that the inner workings are accessible. In another meaning, it means the customer should be entirely unaware of how this occurs. As in, the way it works is invisible like a see-through glass door. I never realized how much jargon I've been desensitized to until you made this post, LMAO. Palantir is especially bad. They take a lot of military words and use them in their language. It's like a bunch of 20-somethings LARPing as special forces. Let's take this offline. Can you take point? Let's get some quick wins. Good call out. On pole position. Time box. T-shirt size. Are above the treetops. You should join finance. The whole industry is built on jargon. We do not call it correlation. We call it information coefficient. Everyone cribs about all the useless jargon all the time while using said jargon as they crib. One person started saying keep me honest, and now I hear it at almost every meeting. Makes me think they're usually not honest. Maybe I'll get down votes for this. But there's this relatively young dude on my team who tries so hard to be a corporate cook. The other day he said to me it was a little blocker, but no worries. This was a learning experience. We'll have to do a debrief later. He talks like this all the time. Certainly makes me cringe.